So, about that time when I was almost famous. Okay, I might be exaggerating slightly, but I do want to tell you about this time when I was auditioning for a reality TV show. So, this was early 2021 when the world was still half closed. And I say half because a lot of things were not open to full capacity, but there were certainly some people who were back at work. I was one of them. I work as an educator in a school district. So the students were still at the house, but all of the employees were at work. It was just me and my colleague in the office next door, and it was super quiet, which means a lot of my extracurricular activities were also virtual because, again, the world was still kind of closed. So no movies and things of that sort. I'm definitely going to be at home. That leads me to Clubhouse. Clubhouse was the happening app at the time where people would just get on and be in this virtual chat room that's audio only. I could literally be having the best time of my life, being entertained by the funniest people of my life, being informed by the most brilliant people of my life while washing dishes on mute. I mean, come on. It just didn't get better than that. So I actually ended up in a comedy room one night, walked upstairs to my daughter's room so she could hear how funny this guy was as he was roasting me about my shoulders. My shoulders, you guys. He was just really going through my profile pictures, and Clubhouse was also linked to my IG. So he would jump over to people's IG, go through their pictures, and I mean, I was laughing to tears, laughing to tears. Shout out to Lil Mengesha. He was the moderator that night. And he, to this day, is one of the most brilliant minds, beautiful souls, and funniest people on the planet. So, fast forward a few months, I am now co hosting said comedy shows. I played the role of a therapist, and there were other moderators up there on the stage with me. And we would ask people to come up to the audience, and we would just go in. I mean, it was a good time. It was a good time. It would be midnight Central Standard Time before I would finally log off. And that doesn't mean that it was over. They would just be going on until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But one evening in particular, I was met with a message in my Instagram inbox. And the message was from a gentleman who wanted me to consider the opportunity to be on TV in a national platform and win a lot of money. I thought nothing of it. I thought it was a scam because only God knows how many times I am met with silly messages about wanting to connect for some jewelry they want me to promote, or somebody pretending to be a cryptocurrency guru or whatever. You know, IG scams are just a dime a dozen these days. So I didn't think anything of it until a few days later when he messaged me again. So at this point, he adds a little bit more details. And now I'm curious as to what this could even mean. So I just walked next door over to my coworker and asked her, hey, what do you think about this? And she said, it seems legit. Just give him a call. His number's there. And so I was like, okay. So I gave him a call. And sure enough, I am talking to a real person. I'm talking to a real person who actually is interested in me auditioning for this reality TV show. It wasn't a love show. It was a competition show where my brilliance and my athleticism and my ability to think through things critically would award me this handsome prize. The number $1 million came out, and I don't even know if that was the actual prize, but up to $1 million. I was already like, wow, I've never been given this opportunity. I know I'm not going to make that in my current job. So the opportunity to actually win that is going to be a great thing. Here's another thing I loved about this opportunity. This opportunity, as painted by this casting director, was not going to require me to be the stereotype of the angry Black woman, because that's definitely what I would never sign up for. I want to represent women, mothers, and African Americans well, right? And so this opportunity was going to allow me to do so, and I was very excited about that. The other thing I was really excited about is that I was going to be able to leave the country for 10 whole weeks for filming, not at the expense of my own, and stay there the entire time, win or lose, because of course you have to stay for the entirety of the show. So that way, when the reunion or the season finale or whatever happens, I'm still at the location and I haven't come back to my house, which would clearly indicate that I lost. So I was also excited about this extended vacation. The greatest part about it is that filming wouldn't even start until May and it would wrap up in June. And I like that because that is within the window of me not having to take several weeks off work because I'd be really gone for about 3 months. But at least those 3 months would be in the summertime when I'm not having the heaviest part of my job to take care of. So I was okay with that. Talked it over with my parents and my BFF. They were going to be available to make sure that the kids had everything that they need. So it was all good. My coworker was excited because she was the only person I said anything to, because I definitely did not want to not make the show and then having told everybody made this huge IG and Facebook announcement only so I can come back months later and say, just kidding. So I kept it to myself, but I definitely wanted certain key people to know about it so that way they would just be in place to help me manage the things that need to be managed while I was away. So I was very excited about that. Here's what was mind-boggling about that whole experience. Reality TV and the opportunity to be exposed to the world in such a way that I have a lot of control on how I'm presented and the opportunity to win a lot of money. I was floored that this opportunity was even afforded to me. I was on Clubhouse, guys, clowning, being fun, being funny. And I was met with this DM from this guy. I want to say he said it was his cousin. Yes, it was his cousin who heard me on Clubhouse and grabbed his attention and said, this is somebody you need to see about for your show. And so when he shared that with me, I felt so validated. I felt so seen. Literally, I felt so heard because my voice, it was enough for somebody to hear what I have to say, even though I'm just being funny, but I'm really just being myself. It wasn't about what I look like. It wasn't about my socioeconomic status. It wasn't about my religious affiliations. It wasn't about my anything other than my ability to communicate a point. And from there, he said, your wittiness and the way you were able to come up with situations, I was like, oh, she's probably great with critical thinking. I want to see about her being on this show. He asked me for several pictures of my family because, of course, with The Real, he's got to, deal with other casting agents and, do what they do. And I was floored that this was even given to me. So I have quite a few friends whose platforms are very public, whether it is because they are social media influencers or just very high profile public figures. They've made quite a name for themselves in such a way that the world kind of recognizes them to some extent. And so while I think that that's amazing for them, I never thought that that would be something that I would be given the opportunity to. They have a product, they have a platform because of the lifestyle that they are sharing and wanting people to really embrace. So I didn't have any of that. I literally just did not have, in my opinion, anything that was noteworthy that would cause somebody to pay attention to me on a scale much larger than my immediate vicinity. I work in a school district. There's no reason for anybody to bring a camera to my life. So it was also validating for the fact that something that I don't even call myself good at was good enough to catch someone's attention. I felt for the first time that I'm able to relate to some of my friends. And you would be surprised how sometimes imposter syndrome can even show up with people who have never actually made you feel unworthy. It's all about how you feel within yourself. And because I have some friends who, in my opinion, have made it, off of their ingenuity and their creativity and their boldness and their faith to step out. That's just something that I never really saw as myself until that time. So, another thing that's true about me is that I love beautiful things. Aesthetics is everything for me, whether it's beautiful hotels or a beautiful nail salon, whatever. I love to be in pretty places. And so, one of my favorite pastimes, my daughter and I actually share this, is we love driving around beautiful neighborhoods. And sometimes these neighborhoods are very wealthy neighborhoods, and we just drive around and look at the incredible landscaping and architecture and just wonder, what do these people do in this neighborhood to live here? Like, what is their actual job? I don't live in New York City or in LA to assume that everybody is an actor. So in my head, it's like they have a normal career that I probably could have had. And I remember several times driving with my daughter in the passenger seat and me saying to her, what did I do wrong? And even though I was saying it in jest, there is a level of seriousness that's happening because I'm very aware that in my field, I'm never going to earn millions, okay, to where I can own a house that costs millions. So what did I do wrong? Like, Elise, that's her middle name. I would just say, Elise, what is the wrong turn that I took? Why didn't y'all stop me? You know? And she would always just tell me, Mom, you did nothing wrong. We love our life. And I'm really grateful that she would say that because we do lead a very beautiful life. I'm very aware that there are some people behind the largest houses who are so depressed and the only thing that they have is money, but they don't have health. They don't have friends. They don't have a good relationship with their children and parents. So none of those things are true for me. So I do have a beautiful life and I have a beautiful home. I do have a beautiful home. So I was always just in awe of whatever it is that these people are doing professionally to afford them this life where money is never an issue. So the thought was coming across for me during this time that I am about to be one of those people. For the first time, I was driving through those neighborhoods and envisioning myself living there. There's a difference in driving around just for the aesthetics and driving around with dreams, driving around with the expectation that one of these days I'm going to be there, driving around and saying to yourself, my kids don't have to be struggling with student loans because if I win, I will do things with my money to make it grow and they'll never have to want for anything. And just really seeing that, like I was excited about the idea of having endless opportunities for them. Also, vacations that I wouldn't have to spend an entire year saving for and buying everybody a car in cash. You know what I mean? Simple things like that aren't simple for everyone, myself included. And so for the first time in my life, I really saw myself at the brink of being able to accomplish that. Here's another thing that during that time I was thinking about. I was thinking about obligations that I did not really want to do, and this would have been my escape. I was thinking about some things that I could finally let go of because my life would take off in such a way where I didn't have time to do that. I could really invest my time in everything that I wanted. And I really started to think about things that I wanted for my life. I want to explore and expose my children to the world. I wanted to get the word out. Single moms can make it without compromising your morals and your best interests. And not to say that there aren't any women that do that, but this was my chance to do that. And I was very excited about that. I was very excited until I got the email that I did not make it to the final round. Oh my gosh, my world came crashing down, you guys. I want you to imagine being locked into a role that doesn't actually suit what you want for your life and finally being able to break away from it. I want you to imagine being locked in a role that people have assigned to you that you don't necessarily want for yourself, but you do it because it's good to do, because it's hard to say no. I want you to imagine finally being able to say no to some things that you overcommit to because you have to say no. That's what I was looking at. I was looking at walking into a realm where I then get to release some things that I currently was not brave enough to release because I didn't want the backlash of the people who were depending on me to fulfill that role, to fulfill these obligations. I was finally in a place to where I could back away from some things that I was, in my opinion, typecast as being perfect for. But it was perfect for me because I can do it. But it was torture to me because I was tired. And I was finally at a place to where I saw a horizon of a different life. And so when that world came crashing down, it was more than just winning $1 million that I didn't have. It wasn't even losing out on the opportunity to be on TV. It was me having to fulfill this role that was assigned to me that I feel like I had outgrown. And now I don't have a reason to release it. That was a hard place for me. I talked to my mom about how heartbroken I was. I talked to my kids. I talked to my best friend. And when I talked to my kids, oh, that was the hardest conversation because one of the things that I said to them is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I still can't get you this and buy you this and take you here. And my children, because they are so amazing, were like, Mom, we didn't need that. We just want you to be okay. Like, are you okay? You know, like they became my counselor. And that was very, very comforting to know that my support systems did not see me any differently, even though for a moment I was seeing myself differently. And I wasn't even seeing myself differently in the way of, oh, I'm better than someone else or I'm better than my old self. It was really just about, I now can pursue and accomplish things on a level that I never had access to. What was the silver lining, however, in all of this? Because that is the point of me telling you this story. I limited myself in what I called my reasonable service or my performative duties to what other people assigned to me, to what I was asked to do. And for the first time in my life, I lived life according to what I envisioned as fun and adventure. And I'm grateful that I did not lose that. I actually did end up releasing myself from some of those prior obligations. I did, in fact, start to travel more. I did dream bigger. This podcast is evident of a little dream that I had a while back. But what I did not do is wait until my platform brought it to me. I decided to go get it. I think that that is the beauty in this journey, is that sometimes you will have some setbacks, but what that setback doesn't have to do is halt the process or the vision of grandeur. It really doesn't have to. I'm still living the life that I thought I wanted when $1 million was in my hands. And the reason why I can say that I'm living that life is because I no longer think that things aren't possible for me. I definitely don't live in the world of impossibilities anymore. No, I'm not in the house in the neighborhood that I was driving around. No, I haven't bought anybody a car in cash. But what I do have that I didn't know that I had at that time is relatability. I am able to relate to the friends that I thought I was so far from. I can talk about a casting call. I can talk about an audition process. I can talk about what it's like to be in the runnings for something. But also, I'm able to relate to having this big, huge dream that did not actualize, but still have the will to keep moving. If there's anything that I can respect about my entrepreneur friends, is that it looks easy, but it's very difficult. Sometimes they have videos that never shoot. Sometimes they have scripts that are never read. And that is hurtful when you put a lot of energy and effort into something that other people don't take all the way. But now I have an experience with them. Now I am able to relate to this huge dream that I almost saw come to fruition, but it didn't actually make it the whole way. And so them being able to pick me up when that was all said and done now gives me a lot more brevity on when they have projects that don't fall through or certain dynamics of their business changing, that I get to support them through because I know what that feels like. I think that was the first time that I've dealt with a quote unquote professional heartbreak, if that makes sense. Another thing that I was able to gather from that experience is I am able to applaud people and celebrate people who are where I want to be. I actually went on and watched the show, and I did get to see the character that would probably have been me had I been cast. And I absolutely love her. And it was rewarding to see her represent all the things that I wanted to represent. It was rewarding to see her do it. I think it's important that we as humans learn to celebrate each other's victories, even when it wasn't our own, because we lose a lot just in the process of being alive. You know, we lose promotions, we lose friends, we lose relationships, we lose everything but weight. But the truth of the matter is that we don't have to lose out on the opportunity to celebrate other people's wins. And that is a huge silver lining for me. I was able to see a courageous and gorgeous woman, wife, and mother get on that TV and represent us well and go far and be bold. And I'm very proud of myself for that. And then lastly, I think the biggest takeaway that I want to say is the silver lining is even though I did not make the reality show, I was exposed to the truth that my voice is enough. I was exposed to the truth that I do have an audience. And the thing that I don't even know that I'm doing resonates. It resonates somewhere with someone. And I may never actually know whose life I've impacted, but it is important that I know that I am impactful. And whether or not millions are ever going to be exposed to who I am, the people who I am called to, I am drawn to. And that is enough. So, if anything that I want to leave you guys with is that even when you are almost there, you are all the way into an epiphany, you are all the way into a mindset shift, you are all the way into a space where you can have more confidence and more courage to pursue the next adventure. You are absolutely all the way there. So instead of focusing on what almost was, why not focus on what is?